Hi everyone. I thought I'd do a couple of cards today, and what I'm going to do is just walk you through the things that I used and then we'll get to making the cards. So all these markers are the ones that I used for the stamp set that I used to colour them in. These are all of them down here, all die cut. And so I'll start with the Stampin' die sets that I'm using. I'm going to use both the landscape and portrait. What are these? The Lawn Fawn Stitched Hillside backdrops, and there's both a landscape and portrait version, and it's just these pieces, the main elements that I'm using. I'm not using any of the extra bits. So those are my backgrounds, which are cut out here. Then I also have Lawn Fawn's cute cobweb, and I landed up using, I think I'm only going to use the actual cobweb, not the spiders that go with it, but we'll see. And then the stamp set that I'm using is the Fab-boo-lous My Favourite Things stamp set, and I basically just stamped out all of these images. I stamped the little candy and the spiders and the bats, the gravestones. I stamped them out more than once, but the actual ghost images I stamped out once. And then, as you can see here, this is how it die cut out when I used my Brother Scan and Cut to cut them out. This is a preferred choice now. I know it's an investment to buy the Scan and Cut, but once you've got the machine, I worked out cost-wise it would be about 15 to 20, depends how many or how detailed and how big the coordinating die sets are, but anywhere from 15 of them, and you would have paid for the machine. So for me it worked. I just think it's worth doing. And also I can die cut stamps that don't have coordinating die sets, if that makes sense. So these guys do, I believe, have a coordinating die set that goes with them, but there are also a lot of really older ones, and even some of the newer ones that don't have coordinating die sets, so this is kind of handy for that, as well as a billion other things you can do on it. But I just thought I'd show you that that's what cut out. So even if you've got the actual dies, you'll land up with a similar thing. And then this down here are all the pieces that we're going to use to look. I know he's a ghost, but I'll end up colouring him orange, like you do. But even my little bats, they all cut out. And you can decide, the nice thing about the Scan and Cut is you can decide how big a border you want around them. So for me it works. So that's the images. These are the colours that I used. So I used Promarkers today, and so I have, if I just go through them, I have Cocoa, Raw Sienna, I have Meadow Green, Leaf Green, Purple, Plum, Honeycomb, Pumpkin, Ironic, Sunflower, Yellow. I have Cool Grey 1, Cool Grey 2, and then Warm Grey 1. And I also used the blender pen. You can use any colouring medium you want. I chose to use Promarkers because I thought they would be, or alcohol markers, because they were the quickest way for me now. But you could watercolour them, you could use Copics, which is another alcohol based marker. You could use coloured pencils, you can do whatever you like. But these are also colours that I would typically use for Halloween. So yellows, orange, purple and green mostly. The greys I used because they were ghosts, so they're not technically a colour. But I wanted something there so that you knew that they weren't just flat, you know, so they had some dimension. And I chose the greys because also there's some of them in there that are like bats, or you know, they're dressed up for Halloween, so you know, like you do. So those are the colours I used for the markers. and for the colouring in. I am going to use this. This is Distress Oxide in Dusty Concord, and I will be using that just to add a bit of colour to the backgrounds. Now these are the backgrounds. So these are the two, what are they called? Spider webs that I think I'm going to use. And this is very old black glitter cardstock. It's not very nice. I don't know if it's just too old now, so I need to get some more, but it's still got enough sparkle. And then these are the two Lawn Fawn dies, backdrop dies, that I was talking about. So you've got a landscape and a portrait, and both of them have this extra cut here, so you can stick things behind, you know, inside there. And then I have two pieces of, and these are basic black Stampin' Up cardstock, and this is Night of Navy Stampin' Up cardstock. And the measurement all in will be to fit an A2 size card. So this is just slightly smaller. So if you like, this would have been the layer on a card, this blue panel. But obviously I'm just using it as the sky bit, if you like, in each of these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Distress Oxide to add a bit more like colour, I guess, on here, and then hopefully give a little bit of a nighttime effect. So we'll see what happens. So I thought I'd let you know all the products I'm using. Oh, I also used my favourite things, Extreme Black, because it's a hybrid ink pen. It means you can use your alcohol markers with it to, you know, to colour, and it doesn't distort the image lines. If you use something that is of the same nature, so if you used, so say I'd used like a StazOn or a, you know, a permanent ink, and I then tried to colour with my markers, it would try and bleed or blend with the ink that you've used for your outline image, and obviously you don't want that. So you kind of need to use opposites, or in this case it's a hybrid ink, so it will work with, I believe, both alcohol markers and it's waterproof. So yeah, so it's waterproof as well, so I would imagine you could use it with watercolouring as well. I've not tried that, I don't think. I'm not sure, but I know you can use it with your alcohol markers. So those are the products I'm using. There might be the odd thing, because I can't help this as a finishing touch. So you might see these guys, but we'll see what happens in the thingy video, that's what it's called. And then obviously tape and glue and stuff like that. So that is that. I will see you in a minute to get started on the actual video.